And welcome back. The median sold price here in California is down a whopping 18% from the high we saw last year. That's based on my own analysis of the California Association of Realtors data. And that video I posted about a week ago regarding home price trends here in California. But in today's video, I actually want to talk about how each of the major regions in California fared, as well as each of the counties regarding price trends compared to 1, 2, and 3 years ago, as well as the highs we saw from last year. So for example, in the San Francisco Bay Area, home sold prices have decreased a whopping 32% from last year's highs. That equates to a $490,000 decrease in the median sold price from April last year. So speaking of the San Francisco Bay Area, take a look at this, because in the Bay Area, prices again are down by 32% from last year's highs, which was set in April last year, going from $1.54 million to just under $1.1 million, a decrease of 32%. That equates to a decrease of $490,000 compared to April last year, which, by the way, I just added this right here because the median sold price as of February, according to the National Association of Realtors, was $363,000. Therefore, this decrease in home prices compared to April last year is actually greater than the median sold price here in the nation. But wait, there's more, because at $1.05 million in the San Francisco Bay Area, this is actually the lowest levels going back to January of 2021, excluding January this year. That's because at $1.05 million, this is actually the lowest levels going back right here, January of 2021. Also, take a look at this, because compared to 2 years ago, prices are down by 9%. Year over year, down by 21%. So here's the big significance regarding this right here, because this is price trends from February 2021 through February of 2023, down 9%. This means the giant increases in 2021, the first half of 2022, have been wiped out due to the fact that prices have decreased so much ever since April last year. And because of that, that's why we're seeing prices only increase by 15% over the past 3 years in the San Francisco Bay Area. By the way, I should have mentioned this earlier on, but the stats in today's video is based on the median sold price for each of these regions and counties for existing single-family detached houses only. It excludes condos and townhomes. It also excludes brand new construction and, of course, multifamily properties as well. All right, that's what we're seeing in the San Francisco Bay Area. Let's have a look at the LA Metro as well. Which this is what the California Association of Realtors breaks up the state in each of these major regions here. So the LA Metro, they define that as a 5-county region that includes Los Angeles, Orange County, Riverside County, San Bernardino, as well as Ventura County. So compared to the peak, which was in May of 2022, prices are down by 12%, a decrease of $95,000. Year over year, down 2%. 2 years ago, 9% gain. And compared to 3 years ago, an increase of 29%. Also in the LA metro area at 710,000, excluding the previous month at 700,000, this is actually the lowest levels going back to January of 2022. In the Central Coast, which is right here, the Central Coast down 18% from last year's highs, which actually was set in March last year. Most of these highs were actually set in April through June last year. It's a little bit different in the Central Coast. That equates to a decrease of 194,000, down 6% year over year, but still up by 20% over the past 3 years. In the Central Valley, where I work and live as a real estate agent, and with my team here, of course, decreased 2% from last year's highs, which is really interesting because prices went from $425,000 to $490,000 this February, a giant increase on a month-to-month basis. That's why these numbers right here are a little bit more inflated compared to these other regions here. Which, by the way, I just did the math on this. This month-to-month change from $425,000 to $490,000 equates to a 15% increase on a month-to-month basis. This is obviously very unusual because in the LA metro area, they only saw a slight increase from 700 to 710. In the Central Coast, a decrease of more or less 895,000 down to 856,000. Flat in the far north, fairly flat in Inland Empire, and of course, fairly flat in the San Francisco Bay Area, as well as SoCal as well. So speaking of the far north, prices are down 13% from May last year. Inland Empire down 8% from May last year as well, and flat on a year-over-year basis. But look at this, gain of 39% from 3 years ago. What a big difference here. A gain of 39% from 3 years ago compared to only an increase of 15% in the San Francisco Bay Area. In SoCal, we saw a gain of 28% and a decrease of 12% from the highs we saw back in May last year. All right, that's how each of the major regions here in California fared. We also want to share very, very quickly what we're seeing right now at the statewide level. Then I'll share each of the counties here in California because there's some very, very big differences here. And frankly, I'm actually really surprised how many of these counties are recorded or have recorded decreases compared to 2 years ago. This, of course, means that the price gains we saw in 2021 and the first half of 2022 have been wiped out due to this giant decrease in home prices over the past 9 months or so. In any case, look at this. For the state as a whole, prices are down 18% from May last year, going from 900,000 to 735,480. The median sold price in the state as a whole down 18% compared to last year's highs. Also at more or less 735,000, this is the lowest levels going back to February of 2021. Back then, the median sold price was $699,000. Also, for the state as a whole, we're down 5% from February 2022 through February 2023. Only a gain of 5% over the past 2 years, and an increase of 27% over the past 3 years. Now, here's where it gets really, really spicy here. Alameda County, which is just east of San Francisco in the East Bay, a decrease of 29% from last year's highs. Last year's highs was in May at 1.5 million. Now it's more or less 1.1 million. And that's a decrease of 19% on a year-over-year basis, flat from 2 years ago, and only an increase of 16% compared to February of 2020. So of course, what this means is that at 1.1 million, excluding December as well as January this year, we're at a 2-year low regarding home sold prices in Alameda County. By the way, one thing I actually just noticed as well is that in Alameda County, a decrease of 29%. This is actually very close to the biggest decrease from last year's highs for each of these major counties here. So Alameda County, San Francisco, as well as Marin County recorded decreases of around 30% from last year's highs. And if you guys are interested in Marin County stats as well as San Francisco, stay tuned for that here in just a little bit. Amador County down by 4%. And by the way, I'm not going to go over every single county in today's video. Otherwise, this video would be 16 hours long. So instead, I'm actually going to scroll through and you guys can pause and screenshot if you guys want. Contra Costa County, also in the Bay Area, down by 28%. Look at this, negative compared to 2 years ago. It's just absolutely crazy. Down 28%, that equates to a decrease of $290,000. The median sold price right now at $760,000 compared to the highs we saw last year back in April at just over $1 million. Del Norte is a decrease of 28%. El Dorado County, just east of Sacramento, a decrease of 17%, still up by 33% from 3 years ago though. Fresno also up by 33%, down 9% from last year's highs. By the way, some of these counties here have large fluctuations in prices on a month-to-month basis. I'm guessing this is due to the fact that maybe there's a smaller sample size, and also potentially there may be some sales that are much higher compared to the averages here. Maybe they had a property that sold that had a lot of acreage, for example, and therefore a high price for that particular sale. So the counties I actually highlighted in yellow tend to fluctuate quite a bit on a month-to-month basis, making it very difficult to compare these trends here. So I'm not going to be going over those in today's video. Humboldt County down by 13%. Where else we have? Lassen is also one of those areas where prices fluctuate greatly. I mean, look at this, 170,000. The next month, 260,000. Los Angeles, down 18% from last year's highs, which was actually set in September last year, later in the year compared to these other counties here. A gain of 9% from 2 years ago, but still up by 25% from 3 years ago. What else we have here? Marin County. This is actually one of the areas here, or one of the counties that have recorded the biggest decreases in home prices from last year's highs. Down 31% from April last year at 2.1 million. Now it's just under 1.5 million. That equates to a giant decrease of $665,000 compared to the highs we saw back in April last year, which, by the way, that's nearly double the median sold price here in the US as a whole, which is absolutely insane. Mariposa County and Mendocino, also large fluctuations in prices there, just like Mono as well as Napa as well. Napa is also one of those counties where prices tend to fluctuate big time as well. Monterey County, which is a place my family love to visit, especially Carmel, down 16% from last year's highs, which was set in July at 924,000. Now it's only 775,000. That equates to nearly a $150,000 decrease, down compared to 1 year ago as well as 2 years ago, but still up slightly by 11% from 3 years ago. Nevada County also decreased from 2 years ago. Orange County is actually up by 16% from February 2021, also up by 32% from February 2020, but still down 13% from April last year at 1.3 million. Now it's just under $1.2 million. Then we also have Placer County, which includes Roseville and Rockland, which is just east of Sacramento. But Placer County goes all the way until North Lake Tahoe. So a very, very big, narrow area that goes from more or less Sacramento to Lake Tahoe. Down 14% from May last year. And that's a decrease of 6% on a year-over-year basis as well, but still up by 25% from 3 years ago. Plumas County, prices tend to fluctuate greatly there as well. So let's talk about Riverside. Riverside is actually down 2% on a year-over-year basis, but still up a whopping 39% over the past 3 years. Let's have a look at that. So 595,000 is the median sold price as of February this year. 3 years ago, back in February 2020, it was only $428,000. That's a gain of 39%. Let's talk about Sacramento. Sacramento is down 14% from May last year and still down 8% on a year-over-year basis, but still up by 25% from 3 years ago, from 499,000 to 398,000 3 years ago. But when looking at year-over-year changes, we're still down by 8% from February of 2022. Let's also talk about San Bernardino, up by 42% from 3 years ago. That's one of the biggest increases I've seen. San Diego is still up by 31%, but still down by 10% from last year's highs, which is actually not as bad as last month because we did see a slight increase from 825,000 to 875,000 this February, a gain of 31% from 3 years ago. San Francisco, look at this, down 29% from the highs we saw in March last year at just under 2.1 million. Now it's just under $1.5 million, despite the fact that prices increase on a month-to-month basis here. Look at this though, and this is just crazy. Down 23% on a year-over-year basis, down 18% from February 2021, and a decrease of 9% from February of 2020. Also, compared to the peak last year, we saw a decrease of nearly $600,000 since March of last year. San Joaquin County is down 12% compared to last year's highs, but still up by 26% from 3 years ago. San Luis Obispo also up by 24%, down 50% from the highs. San Mateo down 13%. This is pretty wild, going from 1.6 million to just under $2.1 million this February, a giant month-to-month increase, which is one reason why these numbers here are not as bad as these other metros here. Santa Barbara tends to fluctuate quite a bit on a month-to-month basis. Santa Clara down 24% from the highs we saw back in April last year, going from nearly $2 million. Now it's only $1.5 million, more or less flat from 2 years ago. Santa Cruz County is also experiencing a pretty big slowdown as well, down 25% from the highs we saw in March last year, down 13% year over year, but still an increase of 34% from 3 years ago. What else do we have here? Solano down 13%, Sonoma down 11%, Stanislaus up by 11%, Sutter up by 10%. What else here? Ventura, a decrease of 16% since April last year, going from nearly $1 million. Now it's only $805,000, a decrease of 16%. Down 9% year over year, but still up by single digits from 2 years ago, an increase of 24% from 3 years ago. And lastly, we have Yolo County down 18% and Yuba down 3%. For condos for the state as a whole in California, down 12% from the highs we saw in April last year when the median sold price was $700,000. Now it's $615,000. Also a down 4% on a year-over-year basis, but still up by 28% from 3 years ago. So please comment below your biggest takeaways from today's video. Also, if you guys got any value in this video whatsoever, then please hit the like button. I greatly appreciate that. Of course, I appreciate you. Hope you guys have an awesome day. Look forward to seeing you on the next video.